The different colors in Magic the Gathering are weird for me personally. There really isn't a rhyme or reason as to why I prefer to play certain color combinations over others. Like, for example, I usually don't like playing red, but I love playing Boros and Jund and Mardu and Jeskai. I'm a big black, white, green enjoyer individually, but Abzan for me is just... Just like my Valmakis video, I struggled to find an Abzan Commander that I enjoyed. Because for the most part, they're all exactly the same. Now, there are a couple outliers. You could play Infect with Ixal, which that's just how you get jumped. You could play Big Butt Boys with Duran, or you can celebrate Joe Biden's 111th birthday. Because that's what everybody wants to do when they're playing Commander. This video is about a new Abzan Commander that's gonna be released in Commander Horizons 3. Modern Horizons 3. The modern set. Of course, with great modern cards. Like this one. What a great modern card. You know what I love about this card in Modern? The Necrobloom is a new 4 mana, 2 power, 7 toughness plant commander that costs a white, a black, a green, and a colorless. Now, the Necrobloom has landfall, meaning that whenever land enters a battlefield, his ability will trigger. In this case, he'll create a 0/1 plant token unless you control 7 lands with different names, and then instead he'll create a 2/2 black zombie. That's right, it's fucking Field of the Dead, which is a land that does the exact same thing, except it's banned in Modern. Oh, it's okay though, for Modern's sake, putting Field of the Dead on a creature that costs 4 mana with 7 toughness is definitely less powerful. Especially with the Necrobloom's second line of text, which says that all lands have Dredge 2. Yeah, definitely not an issue. Nope, not a problem at all. Have fun, Modern players. By the way, with all the sick Modern cards that are being brought to your format. Man, we just love Modern supplemental products. Man. Now, first things first, I'm more concerned about this line of text than this line of text. Now, this line of text is pretty good because we are playing a lands deck, and there will be times where we're sacrificing lands. We want to get them back from our graveyard, and you know, we want to dig through our deck a bit. So this is a good line of text right here. But we're primarily focused on this line of text. My goal with this deck is to be the fastest landscaping company to ever exist, so instead of spawning a bunch of sunflowers, we spawn a bunch of coneheads instead. And would you look at that? We're in the color of cheating. I love green. Nice Soul Ring and Signet. I'll play Forest, Exploration, Forest, Birds of Paradise. Oh, it's my turn? Okay, turn 2. Here we go, guys. Okay, untap, upkeep, draw. Azusa, land, commander. Pass. See, that wasn't that bad. Man, turn 3 is gonna be so much fun. Hey, come on. At least I'm not playing Galta Stampede's Tyrant, am I right? So to save everybody's time in this video, I'm just gonna flash on screen the 23 different cards that are in this deck that are devoted to just making sure that we're playing as many lands as possible so we can get to 7 lands and create a horde of zombies by like turn 5. Which, let's also address this for a second. When this commander comes out, there's gonna be tons of different strategies and deck builds around this commander. It'll be lands, landfall, zombies, zombie tokens, dredge, just all these different things, but I genuinely think that zombie tokens is the correct way to play this commander. When I think about the different strategies when it comes to making this deck, like, you can have like other landfall effects, but you have landfall on your commander. Let's just get those lands out and let's make those zombies powerful. And by making those zombies powerful, I'm not talking about having zombie lords and giant zombie payoffs. We have the zombies. We don't need to be playing zombies. But that doesn't mean that there's no zombie synergy. We have Zombie Knight and Wayward Servant, which will drain your opponents every time a zombie enters the battlefield. We have Tormod the Desecrator, which will just create more zombie tokens as we're pulling stuff out of our graveyard, either by dredging or playing lands onto the battlefield directly with cards like Ramming Up Excavator, Crucible of the Worlds, and all of those different effects which I'll put on screen, just cards that let you play lands from your graveyard. We have 2 just big fun zombie token cards in the form of Dread Summons and Army of the Damned, which alongside Noid Processions and Parallel Lives, that's a lot of zombie boys. We're talking like level 100 in Black Ops amount of zombies. zombies, okay? And then our last zombie synergy card is Necromancer's Covenant, which allows us to nuke another player's graveyard, make a ton of zombies, and then all of our zombies have lifelink. Now, I understand that there's arguably better cards for stuff like this, like True Conviction. Like, True Conviction gives everything double strike, which is fantastic, but sometimes your decks need a little jank and spice, and this is one of those jank and spice cards. Nuking somebody's graveyard can be fantastic, and everything has lifelink. I just don't see a problem with having this card. But there isn't anything more than that, because there's so many things that this deck is trying to accomplish at once. And there's no room for Goober Timmy cards like Smothering Tithe. But this deck doesn't need an overabundance of card draw because it's so synergistic with itself and all of its zones. The greatest draw effect in this deck is Horn of Greed, which is kind of dog shit because your opponents also get to draw cards from it, and you don't even get to draw cards all the time because Crop Rotation, Anti Restoration, Scape Shift, Reshape the Earth, all of these cards say put the lands onto the battlefield. Horn of Greed says you have to actually play the land in order to draw the cards, so those cards don't even trigger it. Only other card draw on the deck is Vampiric Rites, because we have endless free to sack shitbags. We have Phyrexian Arena, we have Path of Discovery, which is kind of card draw. We have Corrupted Conviction, and then we have Frogs. But don't worry about the card draw. You should worry about the Frogs, because we're playing all three of them. And when you're done playing this deck, you should definitely wash your hands because you don't want to get warts on your willy. Lumra, Belle of the Woods, Aftermath Analysis, Renin 7, Life of the Loam, Stitcher Supplier, and even your commander are all dumping lands into your graveyard. Fucking hopefully, I am the king of whiffing. Obviously, statistically, this is literally gambling, so don't be afraid because there's plenty of cards in the deck that also let us bring other cards, not just our lands, from the graveyard to the battlefield. Eerie Ultimatum is obviously the best one here because in the mid-late game when all of our lands are already on the battlefield, we can float all the mana and still cast cards like Scape Shift, which will sacrifice all of our lands, and we can play Eerie Ultimatum to just get them all back and just pray to the great God in heaven that the blue player across the table from us does not have one of the 37 free blue counter spells are in fucking Magic the Gathering. But even if the blue player does happen to counter the Eerie Ultimatum after something like that, it doesn't really matter because we have so many effects that bring lands back from our graveyard. And then there's some doubling effects in the deck like Ancient Green Warden and Elish Norn, Mother of me. Mother of Machines. And that way, between them both, you can triple your Enter the Battlefield effects. Elish Norn is a fantastic stacks piece, and Ancient Green Warden also lets you play lands from your graveyard. And as far as the lands go in this deck, no, I am not playing Glacial Chasm. There's not many effects in Magic the Gathering that allows you to exile a land. Okay, so when you have Glacial Chasm and you have the 20 or 30 cards in this deck that let you bring lands back and let you sacrifice lands for free, you can just infinitely have Glacial Chasm, and I don't personally want to play that way. Now, you can play it, I won't judge you, but just remember that Glacial Cavern says it prevents your life total from going to 0, not prevents you from getting your ass beat in real life. And realistically, the only other card I mentioned in this deck is Concordant Crossroads. You don't have to play it immediately, but on a turn where you've pumped out a ton of zombies and you need to get rid of the next target on the table, you can just drop that because you've probably drawn a ton of cards and just swing out. And finally, the land that inspired the commander itself, Field of the Dead. Field of the Dead has the exact same text box, except it doesn't make you to plant tokens before you hit 7 lands. But between having both the Necrobloom and Field of the Dead and all these token doublers and ETB doublers on the battlefield, anytime a land enters a battlefield, you're going to be making like 32, 64 tokens at a time. It's fucking insane. And that's it. I'm in love. Instead of having to play Abzan commanders that are just aristocrats and graveyard recursion and landfall, I can finally play an Abzan commander that's aristocrats, graveyard recursion, and landfall. It's about time. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. If you guys like the deck, the list will be down in the description below. And while you're down there, let me know about what commanders you're excited from Modern Horizons 3 and what your favorite card is from that set so far. And I will see you guys in the next one.